Good afternoon, everybody. Give us just 1 second. We'll go ahead and kind of kick things off. All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and jump in here? So I guess I'd like to welcome everybody to our December regulatory new product update. It's kind of hard to believe that we're here at the end of the year, and this is our 12th time covering this content, but definitely now more relevant than ever that we're staying aligned on our new product launches and tools and resources that we have to help support you and your customers. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump in. Of course, you have your product support team. Many of the folks that you have been talking to the last couple of months during these are not able to join us today. But one kind of notable add that we have to the product team is Rod Silva has joined us as the product marketing manager for MagicPak, ResPak, and allied commercial products. So when you get a chance, please welcome Rod to the team. We are very excited to have him. Today's agenda, very consistent with what we've been talking about before. So we're going to have a low GWP spotlight. We'll get into regs and any updates there, talk a little bit about IRA and tax credits, and then we'll spend the rest of the time on new products and any resources and tools that we have to support your team, which is actually a nice segue into our product spotlight. And of course, as we're talking about new refrigerants and this transition, our goal is to make this transition as easy as possible for you so that it is as easy and as transparent as possible for your customers. So product spotlight, we're actually going to be spending some time talking about technical training. So we have Cameron Prince was gracious enough to join us and kind of take us through our Q1 training outline. So with that, I'll turn it over to Cam.
Thanks, Nick. Always excited to be back on the monthly product and regulatory webinars. But if you don't know who I am, my name is Cameron Prince. I am the technical services manager here at Allied. Previously, I was on the product management team, so I know these updates that you get in these webinars are super important. And just wanted to take some time here to highlight what we're doing on the technical training side of things. I know that you're already familiar with this at this point, but just wanted to remind you that Allied Air Academy is where all of our technical training content lives. So whenever we do those bi-monthly webinars, we upload the content and the presentation decks to Allied Air Academy. The available training that's out there specifically about low GWP is on the far right side here. So we have our 2024 DSR Technical Training Conference decks out there. We didn't record the sessions, but all the decks are out there. We have some recordings that we did after the fact, but all the decks are out there. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to someone on my team or myself. From an air conditioner standpoint, we have done webinars with the Pro Series 22 SEER2 air conditioner and the single stage air conditioner for heat pumps. We recently did the Pro Series 21 SEER2 cold climate heat pump. And then on the indoor unit side of things, we've done low GWP coils and air handlers, multi-refrigerant coils and air handlers, and the refrigerant detection system. So just wanted to take a second here to let you know that this content is out there. We're going to go into Q1 in a second, but we just wanted to mention here that the content's out there. And other things that our team is working on is getting you notifications whenever content is uploaded. So as you know, Allied Air Academy is a separate thing. It's not connected to Allied Connect, so it's not necessarily the same functionality. But what we're going to be doing in 2025 is making sure that you're aware. Of course, we send this information out in our DSR newsletter, but we want to make sure that you're getting notifications that this content has been added in real time. So that's our commitment to you that we will be, adding that improvement in 2025. So Nick, if you want to go on to the next slide. This is a look at what our technical training content is going to be in the first quarter of next year. And of course, with the low GWP launch, there are so many things that we can talk about. We've already done some webinars, but we're going to continue that into Q1 and of course throughout the remainder of 2025. But just wanted to get you a forward look at what we're doing in 2025. We'll start with January. If you look at our DSR newsletter that went out last week on the 10th, all of the registration links, and we'll send this out standalone as well, but all the registration links are out there for our technical training webinars. And we're going to start the new year talking about holistically low GWP heat pumps. So if you see on the previous slide, the webinar that we have out right now is on the high efficiency 21 CO2 heat pump. We're going to go and have a holistic conversation around all of our single stage low GWP heat pumps and the high efficiency ones as well. So that'll be the beginning of the year. Then we'll do a commercial focus on January the 23rd with introduction to the IntelliGuide K series, and then we'll round out the month with low GWP res packs. So that's what we have looking ahead into January. In February, we will spend some time talking about the IntelliGuide. Then, Valentine's Day, we'll talk about Magic Pack V series, and then we'll finish February with a low GWP furnaces webinar. And then finally in March, this is just Q1, of course, we'll share updates on Q2, Q3, and Q4 after, as we get closer to that. But in March, we will talk about the Magic Pack M series and the Q series. So at this point, this is what our Q1 calendar looks like, what you have access to, our registration links for all of January. That came out in the DSR newsletter last week. And we'll send out standalone emails just to make sure that you remember to sign up for those. And as another reminder, we host these webinars from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern on the days that are listed. And once we finish these webinars, we upload the recording and the deck to Allied Air Academy, which is why it's so important to be in close connection with Allied Air Academy and what's out there on the content side of things. So I have one final slide before I hand you back over, but I just wanted to remind you, this is another thing that's in the DSR newsletter, is that if you are a level 3 or level 4, or if you have level 3 or level 4 DSRs in your company, funds will expire at the end of this year, December 31st. So if you are a level 3 DSR, you have up to $2,000. Level 4, you have up to $5,000. And what you have here on the slide and in the newsletter as well is just a list of the things that are eligible to be used for these funds. A lot of this is around, trying to support the team in terms of providing that technical training, but then also making sure that your technical training lab is, has all the things that you need to provide the technical training. But one thing I did want to remind you about is on the far right side. And remember that if you're a DSR with these funds, you can use these funds to purchase allied equipment for these training labs or these training opportunities. Especially with the change to low GWP equipment, a big one that is a great one that could be purchased for the training is the RDS itself. So be sure to make sure that your DSRs are using those funds. We've had a lot of those approvals come through, so we're working with that, but by the end of this year. And also one small footnote is that the co-op amount for something like an RDS or a piece of equipment is what you paid for it. So not necessarily dealer price, but it's the price that you paid Allied for it. So that's the co-op amount that will be approved for any equipment that's put into your lab. So feel free to put any questions, in the Q&A, but that is all that I have today. So thanks, Nick and the team for letting me speak on that.
Oh, all good. Thanks for making time for that. And I think, you think about as we're wrapping up the year here, this is more relevant now than ever, as we kind of worked our way through the cooling season, talking to dealers and customers, it wasn't top of mind. I think as we're kind of wrapping up the year and all of a sudden this is becoming very, very real as we're a couple weeks away from actually making the transition. I'd encourage everybody to make time and take advantage of these training sessions that Cam and her team are putting on. So with that, we'll shift gears here and we'll jump into a regulatory update. Here with me, just joined is Justin Huntington. He's our director for indoor cooling products, and we're going to spend a couple minutes here and talk a little bit about indoor cooling coils and air handlers.
All right, thanks, Nick. Standing in for Ragini today, and I didn't have access to unmute, so I've ran down to Nick's office and presenting here. So just to give you a brief update on coils and air handlers, there's a couple things going on, and I'll try to walk through this as best I can. It gets a little confusing. So as we look into next year for 2025, if you remember the EPA technology transition rule, manufacturers are allowed to keep manufacturing coils and air handlers for R410A replacement situations. So if you're only going out to replace a coil or only going out to replace an air handler, you can continue to do that indefinitely, and we will keep manufacturing those pieces of equipment. However, the Department of Energy and EPA, they came out with some recent ads, and they wanted to put some verbiage on the nameplates of the coils and air handlers to indicate that those are going to be used for service equipment only. And so those two statements in the gray boxes there, that's something that we have to add to the coils starting in January 1st, 2025. So any coils air handlers built next year that's intended for R410A has to have that verbiage on there. And then the second thing that's going on, or that went through, the UL 60335-2-40, that's the standard that allows the use of A2L refrigerants, the newest safety standard. That committee had gotten together over the fall, and they went through a vote on disallowing field marking of refrigerant. And so that is what we call our versatile coils, our multi-refrigerant coils, our O1 coils, all of those things. They basically went through a vote to disallow us to do that anymore. And so that vote passed. And so the effectivity date isn't set yet. We're expecting that to be January 31st of 2025. And so after that date, we're not allowed to make the multi-refrigerant coils or air handlers anymore. And so we still want to provide coils and air handlers for service replacement, next year and going forward. And so we're going to go back to building R410A dedicated coils and air handlers. So if you go to the next slide, we'll walk through kind of our product strategy for R410A support as we get into next year. And so I'm actually going to start with outdoor units on the left. We're not going to build any more R410A outdoor units after this year, right? So we're not allowed to do that anymore. That anything that we have left in inventory, anything that you have left in inventory that was built, in 2024 or earlier, they can still be sold through. They can still be installed. You have 1 year to do a system replacement, and then you kind of have an indefinite period to do a component replacement. With that being said, Canada's kind of special in this case. They do not have a hard requirement like the US to change to a lower global warming potential refrigerant. So we're going to continue to make R410A, the 4AC16L. We're going to continue to make that one just for Canada. We're going to have new SKUs, or new catalog numbers that allows it to only be sold into Canada and moved into Canada. But we'll continue to offer that just for Canada only. And if we move over to the middle for coils, we kind of just talked through it, but we're going to go back to building R410A dedicated coils. And so the coil nameplate will say for R410A only. And so we'll go back to the old nomenclature as well. So the EAC4X, the EAD4X, EAH1P, and the EAU1Ps, those will go back. However, we will have to have new SKU numbers, new catalog numbers, because of that verbiage on the previous page that says it's to be used for service equipment only. If you have a EAC4X that was built this year and you have a new one that's built next year, you need to have some way to know which one is which ones can be used for systems and which ones can only be used for service or coil replacement only. And then air handler is a very similar strategy. The only thing there is, typically in a warranty or a part failure situation, you're just usually replacing that part. And so if a blower motor goes out, you're typically just replacing the blower motor, not the entire air handler. And so we're going to offer the BC5C and BC5E continued next year. However, we don't think a lot of volume is going to be there, so we're just going to maintain those two product lines. And then all the other air handlers that we offer will continue to have repair parts. And so there's a lot there. I know that was a bit confusing. Bottom line, we're going to stop producing the multi-refrigerant coils and air handlers at the end of this year. And then we're going to go back to building R410A coils and air handlers next year to support component replacement only.
Yeah, but definitely keep in mind the multi-refrigerant coils and air handlers you have in your inventory today, and that we build by the end of the year, you are able to sell through those. So this whole message around making the transition as easy as possible for you and your customers, the multi-refrigerant class of product was intended to do that, and we still get that benefit as we go into 2025 and helping, ensure that dealers have system matches, that you have system matches that you can sell your customers. So
Good point. Good add, Nick. That's true. Any O1 or multi-refrigerant coil that's built this year, you can not only use it for 410A or 454B next year, but you can also use it for system or component replacement next year. So those are all still good coils. We'll just have to stop manufacturing it by the end of the year is all.
of course, as you kind of think through this, use the chat if you want to drop any questions in, and we'll address those here at the end of the presentation. All right. Real quick, I wanted to provide you a bit of a snapshot on Energy Star updates. So Energy Star 6.2 has recently been finalized. I think it was actually just last week. So this is going to be the new kind of standard going forward. We also have updates for the most efficient category, as well as the cold climate piece of things. So we have a bit of a summary here that has the different standards. I guess interestingly, on the Energy Star changes, if you think back to where we were in 2024, there were some different requirements for ducted heat pump versus non-ducted heat pump. And really what we see going forward here in 2025 is those standards are being merged together. So we're not going to have different efficiency requirements for ducted and non-ducted. And what that also means is that some of the EER requirements, which is typically where some of the differences lie, are actually going down for ducted heat pumps and package heat pumps. So not a lot of change on the Energy Star standard, really just aligning ducted and non-ducted. And then when we get down to the most efficient category, again, same thing. It's alignment on ducted versus non-ducted. The efficiency requirements really didn't move in the most efficient category, but we are adding in the capacity maintenance ratio. So the capacity at 5 degrees versus 47 degrees, and they're looking for 45% in 2025 for kind of standard split heat pumps, and of course the cold climate requirement is 70% at 5, which hasn't changed versus what we see today. So just wanted to provide a bit of an update that the Energy Star criteria has been updated for 2025, and we can of course share more information on that if you'd like it. We've been showing this website through AHRI and the A2L building codes. Of course, if you want to take a look at your local state, scan that QR code and you can look at where your state stands in terms of building codes and support of low GWP refrigerants. And then from a sell-through perspective, we've been talking about this for the last 11 months, so why not one more? We have our 410A products have been defined as product systems or components. Products, you of course have a 3-year sell-through. Those are sealed refrigerant systems from the factory, package units, Magic Pack, Allied Commercial. And of course systems, anything that's built in 2024 or before can be installed in the field in 2025 as a system. And components, as Justin just talked through, we'll be making a bit of a change, and we'll be building coils and air handlers for replacement components as we go into 2025. We will not be producing outdoor 410A replacement components because of the outdoor unit with no match requirements and the ability of stainless H product to actually meet the minimum efficiency requirements. So no changes there around sell-through and the 3 different classifications of product. Of course, as you get into the new year, this is going to be very important at the counter, that your people kind of understand this and can speak to it to help dealers kind of sort through what they need for whatever the job is. All right, on the Inflation Reduction Act, We've been providing some updates on state-to-state activity, which has really picked up kind of in the back half of 2024. Big change here is all the gold stars that you see on the map. These are states that have recently submitted an application, so they had not submitted up to this point. And we have a handful of states that are kind of jumping on board with this. In terms of states where they have rebates available, there's no change since we talked about this last in November. And of course, as we get into the new year, we'll want to watch some of these other states as they get their rebate programs kicked off. All right, and then from a product perspective, I think all of you know that we made a lot of updates to the product in terms of refrigerant detection systems, labeling, low GWP components, wire routings throughout the equipment, and then of course you have a whole new set of AHRI system matches coming with those new products. But in terms of making it better, and really when you think about training your team, having your dealer meetings in Q1 and what you want to be talking to your dealers about, I really encourage all of you to take advantage of some of these making it better topics, and let dealers know that we're listening to them and we're still working to improve our products, make them easier to install, and give them some competitive advantages relative to other manufacturers and their low GWP equipment. So, kind of main thing we've been talking about all year is around the multi-refrigerant coils and air handlers. We have refrigerant detection system kits for furnaces that are built before 2025 and when we transition them to a factory installed control board. We are making the indoor and outdoor equipment press fitting compatible. And of course, we have sleeved distributor tubes throughout our equipment. We're launching and bringing a cold climate heat pump capability that we haven't had in the past. We're offering an updated heat strip for our Pro Series air handler. And then on the furnaces, we're taking the opportunity to drive some consistency around the control boards and offering a 7-segment LED for fault codes. Right. So in terms of the open for order, not a lot of huge changes here. I think on the furnace side, you see we have things kind of broken apart into 3 different introductions as we roll out the factory installed controls for refrigerant detection systems. So you'll get your single stage furnaces in February, 2-stage except constant torque, and modulating furnaces are coming in May, and then 2-stage constant torque will be a little bit later in the year in June. Remember that for furnaces that do not have the factory installed board, we have the controls kit. And we encourage you to bring those in, make sure you have them on hand and available as we start to transition to low GWP equipment. I think Anjali had talked through this in the previous month, and what we were seeing is that orders for the kits, both the controls and the sensors, seemed a little bit lighter relative to the open orders that we had on low GWP equipment. So definitely encourage everybody to kind of take a look at what you have on order and what you're going to need as we get into 2025. The other thing that changed here is around our 19 SEER 2 and our 21 SEER 2 heat pump. Those open for orders have been shifted into February. And really, it's just an opportunity to allow everybody some time to work through the R410A inventory that we have on hand. All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and pause, and we're going to turn it over to the spec product team.
Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Nick, if you can jump to the next slide. He's just driving. Okay. So similar to what you saw on the residential side, on the packaged products, we're obviously updating refrigerant detection systems, adding those. We're updating our labeling requirements for the A2L refrigerants, number of the components, the compressors, et cetera, and the wiring. But whenever we go in and we work on our products, similar to what you just heard from Nick, we're also updating and improving the products with our package units, they've always been zero refrigerant handling charged at the factory. The installation process on our rooftop unit stays the same. The electrical hookups, the condensate drains, everything, the footprints, all those are going to be in the same places, same dimensions. So setting the unit, the crane, the curb adapter, if you need one, all that's going to be the same. What changes though is with the K series, our mainline product actually gets a new controller. It's getting the IntelliGuide controller, and it's going to allow you to commission it with a smartphone. That some of you have seen this on some of our, maybe our E product or some of our other products. And it really makes the commissioning a lot easier. It walks through the steps in plain English, walks you through it on your smartphone. If you're commissioning multiple units, it'll allow you to copy that profile across multiple units very quickly. So it's going to speed up multiple unit projects. And if you're troubleshooting it, it's going to talk to you in plain English on your phone through Bluetooth, and potentially, depending on how far you are in the situation, you can be out of the elements when you're diagnosing and troubleshooting the product. So when I say really, like, the installation process doesn't change, if you look at commissioning, it's actually easier now with the IntelliGuide controller. So it's actually getting better and getting a little easier to install our products. It's really, I think, especially with the addition of the controller, the K series, it's really not just checking a box on compliance. It's also a product upgrade. So look at the next slide. I see Ruben. Ruben's on here, but I don't know that he has his mic open. Are you able to speak, Ruben? Yeah, I think I'll just cover these two slides. So for our specified products, Magic Pack, V series and M series, we've had the open for orders announcements on those, and then we've got another one coming out later next year in the first quarter. But we're already open for orders for M and V series Magic Pack for those of you that deal with those products. Look at the next slide, please. And then our commercial products. It's a build, yes. The K series, we've already opened for orders. We're about to open for orders, as you can see, on select box sizes on Z series, and then our three-phase res packs, or our Q series, what we call it. And then on, you can see going into the next year, we've got some of the, I'd say, the minor box sizes and configurations on our K series. And then we'll continue with announcements as we roll through. And again, I want to remind you all, these are packaged units, all of these. So they have 3-year sell-throughs we're talking about here. So, okay. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. All right, and as we kind of wrap the meeting, just want to take one quick second and talk through some of the messaging. So again, we've been talking about for a cleaner tomorrow, and that we're reducing global warming potential by up to 78% with our new refrigerants. And of course, you know, the takeaway here is to take credit for the product change being better for the environment, and also some of the enhancements that we've been making to the products as we move through this transition. And then really last kind of takeaway is around the content piece of things. Cam spent a few minutes talking through training and a lot of the content that's being developed specifically for new products and new refrigerants. Remember that we have the landing page on Allied Connect. There's a rotating banner that you should be the first or second one that you see when you log in. If you click on that and scroll to the bottom of the page, there are links to all of the latest documents and content that we have to help educate you and your teams on new refrigerants. If you haven't had a chance to go out there and take a look at that, really encourage you to do that here as we move through the end of the year. Just want to make sure that your teams at the branch and at the counter are ready to go in January, so that they can address any questions that the dealers are coming in with. So talk through, and we'll wrap with that, and we'll kind of shift over into the chat and see what questions we can address. Yeah, well, do you want to talk through what you've been answering?
Sure. Let me go back. So one of the questions earlier was, can multi-refrigerant air handlers be installed past 131.25? Yeah, that January 31st date is really a requirement for manufacturers like Allied to stop production of multi-refrigerant coils. So anything we build prior to that or prior to the end of the year, they'll still be good for install, as we talked about. And then next question was, will the 7AH1AC air handlers need an RDS kit? They are 410/454B. So yeah, those multi-refrigerant air handlers, if you use it for a 410A system, then it won't need an RDS. You'll be good to go as it is out of the box. If you intend to use a multi-refrigerant air handler for 454B installs, then you'll need to get the sensor and the control board kit.
Yeah. And Mike, I see you're asking about putting 4 service parts only on the box. I believe that's the intent with the coils and the air handlers, is the box will be marked that it's for component replacement or for our 410A service.
Yep. Yeah. And then another question just came through about RDS sensors being sensitive to water and dust. What would be the warranty on those sensors? So warranty follows the same as, you know, the air handler and coil. It's included as part of that warranty. You know, we did do a lot of reliability testing and extra safeties we put into the sensor to overcome some of those obstacles in the field. You know, dust is being one of those. At the same time, you don't want to submerge this in water. It'll be fine on a coil and subject to the normal condensation that a coil normally goes through. That will be fine. However, you don't want to just dunk it in some water, right? So it'll be it's intended to last the life of the system, and so that's why we included that into the coil or air handler warranty.
Yeah, and there are no annual service requirements for that sensor. So
Correct.
It's not something that a dealer has to go in there and deal with when they're doing their routine maintenance.
See any other questions?
It's a little more quiet than usual. We'll just we'll pause here for another minute or two and see if anybody else has any questions. Feel free to use the chat or the Q&A button. Yeah. All right. Well, with that, we'll hang here for a minute, but otherwise, I think we got all the questions. So thanks for making some time to join us, and I hope everybody has a really nice holiday season. So see you guys.